administration was coming from when they were saying, like, we really, really encourage you to stay. As I mentioned before, I'm a journalist, and so I actually worked for the student media on campus for 6 years and did a lot of reporting on emergency preparedness at Pepperdine. And the administration's plan, Pepperdine's plan, is just so tight. Their first priority is the safety of all of the students and all of the faculty and staff and all of their children who are here on campus, who live in the faculty.
From this area, of course, that was not the case just a few hours ago. And we did start getting some emails and concerns of that nature from folks here. Here's a couple that we read. One saying, my daughter is telling me they're being held in the cafeteria, not allowed to leave while the fire approaches and the rest of Malibu is evacuating. And then another one saying, as I understand it, there was a mandatory evacuation of Malibu. Why would they not be moving these students? Having hundreds of children die in a fire because they had a faulty plan and restricted the students' ability to evacuate would be a tragedy of epic proportions. So we come up here at about 3 o'clock this morning trying to get in, and here is what we saw. There was a lot of flames. They were small flames, but they were approaching the area where the students were evacuated or put into a shelter-in-place, probably about 100 yards away or so. Now, the Pepperdine University, the officials here did not want to let us into the evacuation area. They did not want to talk to us about what was going on, which sort of just added to the confusion of exactly what was happening up here. But
some parents raise heck about their kids being stuck in the cafeteria of the Pepperdine School, University, or whatever it is out there in California, and near the fires over in Wolseley. And so I guess the news crew went down there, and then, then I guess they let the kids out or whatever, but, so they probably could have got away with almost, burning them kids up in there. And then that girl goes on saying she was in there and, everybody was fine, everybody was singing, and, the firemen and everybody, they got everything under control because, we trust them, and where we were at, it's the safest place, and they have fires here like every year, so, every however much, I'll leave a link, but, it's just, talk about a setup. Then they pick her out of the whole school there, or from the cafeteria, to do the press conference, and she's already
graduated, I guess, last year?
Yes, in April.
So how was it up there last year?
Trained in that stuff. She's a journalist for stuff like this, for emergency preparedness and stuff like that. She's trained in all that shit. So that was a setup. And then they're trying to cover it up like, the firemen know if a place is safe or not, if a fire's gonna burn it down or not. She literally says that.
Students, of course, did have some anxieties. It's really scary, especially at around 10:30 when the fire did crest over the hill. It's scary to see your community threatened by a fire like that. But in all the past fires that have happened on the Pepperdine campus, from what I understand from people who have been here for many of the past fires, that happens pretty much every year, or every time this has happened, that the fire does crest. It comes right up to the condos. It even will come in these areas, but the fire department knows what they're doing, and they know when fires are an actual threat to structures and when they're not. And so they knew that these fires weren't an actual threat to any of our structures.
And where exactly did you stay?
So I was in the CAF for the night, the cafeteria. Yes.
And what was it like in there? What was the atmosphere?
Predominantly, again,
so the
very
fire was
calm.
like 100 yards away, maybe, from the cafeteria.
Some
the kids were talking to their parents,
but for most of the day, especially as we were just
and
watching,
were told that they weren't allowed to leave.
Students were calm.
And now they're trying to cover it up.
Don't stop believing, and a few other songs,
whatever.
And